Everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Baldwin-Wallace Athletics Roadshow here at Mike's Bar and Grill in downtown Berea. I'm Matt Florjancic, and I'll be your host for the next hour as we take a look back at the week that was for Yellow Jacket Athletics. We'll also talk with football coach Jim Hilvert, women's soccer coach Jim Wojtkun, and volleyball coach Kristina Fultz. And then we'll take a look at the week ahead in athletics here at Baldwin-Wallace University. Taking a look at the week that was, the Baldwin-Wallace University football team opened Ohio Athletic Conference action by outlasting Wilmington College 13-12 on Townsend Field inside Williams Stadium down in Southwest Ohio. BW improved to 1-1 on the season and 1-0 in Ohio Athletic Conference play, and they improved to 20-3 overall in the all-time series against Wilmington, who fell to 1-1 and 0-1 in the OAC play. BW has now won the last 13 meetings against the Quakers, and in those meetings, the Yellow Jackets have outscored the opposition 548-168. BW was led by senior All-OAC running back John Murray Jr. out of Cincinnati Withrow High School, and once again, he enjoyed the trip back to his near his hometown as he and senior quarterback Reese Weimer combined for 202 of the Yellow Jackets' 230 yards of total offense. Murray Jr. rushed for 87 yards on 21 carries, while Weimer, who only played in the second half, rushed for 80 yards on 12 carries and scored the game-winning touchdown. He also completed 2 of 5 passes for 31 yards. In addition, senior wideout Elijah Arnett led the receiving corps with 3 catches for 44 yards, and defensively, senior linebacker Mason Levasseur recorded 9 tackles, while junior linebacker Vontae Jackson tallied 8 stops. And since Coach Hilvert is sitting to my right now, we're going to take a break on the look back at the week that was, and we're going to talk BW Yellow Jacket football. Coach, first of all, thank you very much for joining me. Pleasure to see you.
Appreciate it. It's good seeing you too.
So congratulations on getting back to your winning ways with the victory over Wilmington. How important was it to see a bounce back from your guys this week after what was a tough start to the season the week prior against Mount St. Joseph?
Oh, there's no doubt. We had a bad taste in our mouth from obviously a tough emotional loss in the first game of the season. But it was great to be able to bounce back. It was a really good football game. You know, I think our guys faced a lot of adversity during the game, but I was able to bounce back from it and be able to outlast Wilmington in the final moments. And guys stepped up and made plays at the end of the game. I was really proud of our defense, the way they stood some of the situations they were in during the game, from a goal line stand right before halftime, which was a huge deal. And then obviously at the end, being able to overcome 4 pass interference calls to make a play at the end of the game to win 13-12.
I mean, it's hard to overcome 1. How do you overcome 4? Like, how do the guys overcome so many penalties in a critical time in the game?
Oh, there's no doubt. I think we learned from last week. I think we played the next play, kept on playing our game. Guys, did a good job. I think learned a lot from last week, learned a lot about ourselves. And we went back to playing dark side defense. Guys were flying around the football. We were getting to the quarterback. I think we got him rattled. I think it was one of the reasons we had success. And they have some great receivers. I really do. I mean, their new quarterback did a great job of throwing the ball, but they got some really good receivers. We did a really good job of covering those guys.
Talk about the dark side mindset. What goes into it, and how important is it that all 11 guys buy into that mentality for it to be successful?
Right. I think for us, our dark side defense, you got to be able to do your job, play with relentless effort, great attitude, pursuit to the ball, just relentless, just keep going after. We want offense to feel like there's 15 to 20 guys out on the football field. And when you have opportunities to make a play, make a play. And you got to be able to play physical, and I think our guys really took a huge improvement from the first game to the second game on the defense side of the ball.
When you look at your defense, Mason and Vontae, what kind of difference do they make in that linebacking core, in that second level of defense that really stands out to you and really makes life difficult on an opposing quarterback?
But first of all, Mason obviously is a really, really smart football player. Does a really good gets our guys in the right alignment and stuff like that. And Devontae, he was flying around, had a lot. He made the most of the opportunities, getting after the quarterback. I believe he had 3 tackles for a loss, 2.5 sacks. He was making plays all over the place, and he's a very coachable young man. He's getting better and better with the experience he's getting on the field. He's still young, and he's a smart, another guy who's a smart football player. but he can run around and make plays on the defense side of the ball.
He showed a lot last year in limited time that he had a lot of potential. How nice is it as his head coach to see that potential marry up with an intense work ethic, both on the field, in the weight room, and in the media or in the film room, to really hone in on his craft and get better, knowing that he was going to have to step up to fill some voids that were left by graduation.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, he had to fill a big void with Nick Pankow from last year. With Devontae, me and him we have a great relationship, and I've pulled him to the side obviously after last season and said, sky's the limit for you. I mean, he has a chance to be a really, really good football player, a guy who can leave his mark at BW, and I have high expectations of him. And I told him, you got to be able to turn it on all the time, from the weight room to on the practice field, and he's done that. He's really has been open to that, and he's done that, and he's taken his play to another level. He really has.
Switching over to the other side of the ball, we've talked a lot about John Murray Jr. and what he means to the program. How nice is it to have him back for another year and knowing that you have that rock to carry the ball in John Murray Jr.? Yeah,
it's nice. Obviously, all the experience he brings to the table, I think can help, obviously, the younger guys and some of the guys and be that stable guy that can help our offense grow, because we do have some young guys in certain positions, can help those guys get through some of those tough times and growing pains that we're going to have on the offensive side of the ball. And be able to have him for another year, obviously, is a huge blessing.
How do you keep him healthy given the workload that he's expected to carry and more importantly wants to carry, because he wants to be the guy that leads you down the field?
I think we got to continue to do a good job, because I think we have some guys behind him that can help lessen that load at times with Victor Ford and DJ Griffiths. And just be smart with him during the week, during practice and stuff like that, because like I said, I call him Dr. Murray because he's been around for about 8 years. So, just being smart in those ways.
Yep. Offensively, he had to make a quarterback change in the middle of the game last week against Wilmington. That's never an easy situation. How did the guys respond to the change?
I think the guys did. We needed a spark, and I think Reese gave that to us in the fourth quarter. Did a really good job with running the football and adding that dimension to the offense. Really helped us. And him, I think he rushed for 83 yards, I believe, on the offense side of the ball. Made some key plays for us to sustain drives too, because defense, we were out there for a while and sustaining some drives. Really helped our defense and helped our offense get some confidence, and did a really good job.
The thing that I've seen out of Reese over the last few years is he's very quick. He's also very sound in his decision-making, and he's probably one of the toughest guys on the field because he's not overly big, but he's smart and knows how to stay away from those big hits.
Yes, he does. He's not afraid to be able to run in there and stuff like that. He's not afraid at all. But, he does. He's elusive. He can make people miss. He has that moxie about himself, that confidence that he has in himself, which I think helped us, obviously, in the fourth quarter to win that game.
Is it something that you're going to look to continue with Reese, or are you just going to go by committee?
We'll go by I said we'll start Joey, obviously, this week. And obviously, there's going to be opportunities down the road for us, as a team for Reese. But obviously, we'll start with Joey this week. And I think our guys are confident in both our guys, with Joey and Reese. And we need to be, obviously, on both sides of the ball, play really well this week. And obviously on special teams too. Guys got to be on all cylinders this week for a big game we have in front of us.
Yeah, speaking of this week, you mentioned getting a bad taste out of your mouth from the loss to Mount St. Joe's with the win over Wilmington. How nice would it be to get rid of that taste that you've had to sit on for 10 months now after playing so well against John Carroll for 3 quarters and then having it fall apart in the fourth last year?
Yeah, I think that definitely is on me. I tell our guys all the time, you try to get better from situations like that. You think about it every day for the last 10 months. That's definitely, you have to. And obviously, you evaluate things that you did wrong and things you did good. And for us, we played the last 10 minutes of the game. We didn't play well. That's really what it boils down to when you look back at it and you watch the film as a million times that we watched it. It's just the last 10 minutes of the game. And we know what we have to do. Obviously, this game, John Carroll's a really good football program with some really good football players. I got a lot of respect for those guys. So we got to be ready to play.
You're taking the show on the road one more time.
Yeah.
It's been 3 straight. How have you handled that? That's a lot of travel early in the season. And more importantly, you haven't gotten to play in front of the home fans yet.
No, the thing about it, too, it's really 4 weeks because we have a scrimmage at Worcester, and then obviously we played the last 2 weeks, and now obviously we'll play another game on the road. So you have basically a month on the road, and I think our guys have handled it well, being those road warriors that you need to be. So it's going to be nice to be able to get it home next week.
Yeah, but before you get home, you get that one more big game against John Carroll. We mentioned it being a road game. You're going to face a tough atmosphere, but you know you're going to have a lot of people that are making that road trip with you, and that has to make you feel good that you may not have a lot of support, but the support that you do have is going to be loud and proud.
I'll say this right now. The last 2 weeks we've been on the road. The jacket backers, the people that have been at our games, the last 2 games, I really want to kudos to them. I really appreciate their support because the last 2 games we've had a huge support with those people that were at our game, and I expect no less this week. I know there'll be even probably more people that are there at the game, understanding how big of a rivalry this is. I believe it's one of the best small college rivalries in the country.
Sure is. It's fun to be a part of when you're broadcasting it. I'm sure it's fun to coach in. It's a little bit more fun and enjoyable when you get to watch a win, and hopefully that does happen for you on Saturday afternoon.
I know our guys are excited today. Obviously, we started the week off with a team meeting today with watching film and obviously getting ready for those guys. And I know those guys are excited about the opportunity we have in front of us. You know, that's why you come to BW playing big games like that. Be part of a great rivalry like that. And I know our guys are fired up about this week.
Is it nice to know, and we'll get you out on this note, is it nice to know that while you obviously set the tone for the week with an important message, that you don't have to say much because those senior leaders and the guys who came back for a 5th year are going to make sure that message is delivered on a play-by-play basis in practice?
Yeah, our guys know this week. It started at 6 a.m. this morning, and they understand, obviously, what this game means.
All right, well, Coach, thank you very much for the
so
time.
Much. I really appreciate
Best
it. Thanks
of luck.
for having me.
I appreciate your time, and go get a dub on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, that's Coach Jim Hilvert of the Baldwin-Wallace University football team. We thank him very much for his time. And before we get on to our next interview, we're going to take a look back again at the week that was and look at the women's golf team who placed 4th at the Mount Union Fall Invitational at Tannehoff Golf Club last week. BW finished 4th out of 9 teams with a total of 356 strokes on the par 72, 6,008-yard Tannehoff layout. Notre Dame College placed 1st with 337 strokes. Sophomore Lauren Nieher led the way by finishing 7th with a round of 85. Sophomore Hallie Kalaman tied for 12th with a round of 87. Sophomore Brooke Newsom tied for 21st with a round of 91. And freshman Alana Smith placed 25th with a round of 93. And sophomore Steph Neff from the Seven Hills and Padua Franciscan High School tied for 38th with a round of 102. The men's golf team placed 5th at the BW Fall Invitational at Pine Hills Golf Club over the weekend. BW shot 324 as a team on the par 72, 6,748-yard Pine Hills layout. Lake Erie College took home the win with a total of 294 strokes. The top 5 leaders for BW were senior academic All-OAC Henry Newman, senior All-OAC and academic All-OAC selection Logan Bratch, sophomore Logan Cook, junior Christian Miller, and junior Alex Baker. The men's soccer team played to a scoreless tie against Geneva last Wednesday night on Trestle Field inside George Finney Stadium. Sophomore goalkeeper Zoltan Nagy led the way with 3 saves. And then last Saturday, the Yellow Jacket men's soccer team defeated non-conference opponent Allegheny College by a final score of 4-1 at Frank B. Fuhrer Field. Sophomore goalkeeper Zoltan Nagy led with 5 saves, while junior forward Michael Tusick led with 2 assists. Freshman forward Max Yakum scored his first career goal, while junior midfielder Julian Karras picked up his first goal of the season. Freshman defender and freshman midfielder Mike Kane and Ethan Corsi each tallied their first career goals as well. The women's soccer team last Wednesday night took down Oberlin College in a non-conference game by a final score of 2-1. That game was on the road. That was the 3rd straight road victory for the Yellow Jackets as sophomore defender Casey Goluboff scored her first collegiate goal. Junior forward Sydney Rice scored 1 goal for her team-leading 3rd tally of the season, and sophomore goalkeeper Abby Pfeiffer led with 2 saves. Then last Friday night, the Baldwin-Wallace University women's soccer team fell to number 12 nationally ranked and crosstown rival Case Western Reserve University in a non-conference game by a score of 1-0 on the Trestle Field inside the George Finney Stadium in what was their home opener. Sophomore goalkeeper Katie Scott led the squad with 4 saves, and Cameron Hartman scored the lone goal of the game for the Spartans. Joining me now is the head women's soccer coach at Baldwin Wallace, Coach Jim Wojtkun. Coach Wojtkun, thank you very much for the time. I greatly appreciate it.
Excited to be here. Thank you very much.
So now you are in season number 6 as the first ever full-time head women's soccer coach in BW history. How have you been able to build up this program in the time that you've been at the helm full-time?
Actually, it's been a lot of continuity. I've been with the program since 2005 with Coach Ayers when he was doing both programs. Again, can't fathom how he can do both. But for us, it's been fun because we built on that continuity. So when I was able to assume the head coaching role in 2017, we were able to keep that continuity and continue to build with the kind of women that made BW soccer a special destination. So it's been fun to do that and continue to grow that.
How did you go about welcoming the challenge of moving from top assistant on both teams to running your own program now and taking over for Coach Ayers?
Oh, that was it was a really fun opportunity because I spent a significant portion of my time recruiting the women's program at that time. So I had a really relatively familiar relationship with the women. We had set some standards and some objectives and really began to build a culture with Coach Ayers, and we sort of extended that culture and then made it a little bit more specific in terms of how we wanted the women to react and grow. And we created an accountability factor with them. So we call it You With Me, which means we want our women to not only come into the program to make themselves better, but we wanted our women to come into the program to make their teammates better. And that accountability has really facilitated our growth over the course of time.
How have you seen the young ladies who have come in as freshmen or transferred in as sophomores turn into the leader of the program when they become juniors and seniors? How has that progression gone?
Oh, that's a great question. Matt, to be perfectly honest, we ask every one of our players when they come into the program to not be afraid to lead. We've done something over time that we haven't had captains. We've asked every player with their skill set to say, hey, every situation demands a certain level of expectation. So we say, hey, when it fits your skill set, step up. And we ask them to step up, and they do. And that's what's kind of fun because we don't have sort of that classification, senior, junior, freshman, sophomores. We let them all, tongue-in-cheek, we say we're kind of classless. but what we mean is we're kind of class blind. And we allow them to explore who they are without the worry of, hey, I'm not a freshman or I'm not a sophomore or I'm not a senior. They're just part of the team, and they grow in according with that.
You've averaged nearly 10 wins per season since you took over the program. Obviously, you touched on leadership and developing it from a young age in the program as being a key. But what also have you seen as being the reason for the success that the program has experienced and more importantly, that continuity that you've developed?
We've been able to recruit women that are very competitive. I think that's kind of special. One of the things that we espouse is the willingness to compete every day. And they take that not only from a training environment, they take it into the game environment. And that makes it them to set high objectives for themselves. I don't set the standards for them. They set the standards for themselves. And they're willing to work hard to achieve them. They're a great group of women, and they continue to reinforce that. So every year I recruit, but the women seal the deal because people want to be associated. The players that come in want to be part of what we have because they see themselves growing and they see themselves making themselves better.
Yeah, and part of the experience of being a student athlete here at Baldwin Wallace is obviously the academic component. And talk about your plan for developing the total student athlete while creating the challenging and championship environments that you want both on the field and off.
That's really what it all boils down to. One of the reasons that I am so excited to be in the Division III environment is the ability to balance high-level academics and high-level athletics. One of the things we ask our players to do is to be the best version of themselves in the classroom and the best version of themselves on the field, which means we expect them to exceed expectations in the classroom. So we don't say, hey, we're not happy if you don't have a 4.0. We say we're happy when you do better than the expectations you have. So we're averaging about a little over 3.55 for
really incredible
for our women academically, because they know that they want to excel. So we actually call it what we call the 4 and 40 principle. It's kind of funny. We say, can we give you a great experience for 4 years in the soccer field, but can BW give you the foundation to succeed for the next 40 years professionally? And they come here because of that balance. Great soccer and the ability to understand that they're going to build a foundation for lifetime success.
And you carry a team cumulative grade point average of over 3.5 with how many girls on your, how many young ladies on your roster?
We have 36 women this year. So they're producing. They're doing a great job.
They sure are.
Incredibly proud of them, Matt. Incredibly proud of them.
As well you should be. I mean, it's one thing to be proud of them for what you see on game day, but to be proud of them every single day by what you see in the classroom and then boiling it over to practice. I mean, success in a way breeds more success because it just motivates you to continue pushing, and that sounds like something that this program really wants to be built on.
It very much is, and the success of it doesn't rest with me or Lex or Ty or my assistants. It rests with the women because they really create the environment to support each other. You know, you said 36 women, and one of the most important things is their level of respect and their level of commitment to each other unparalleled. I'm so excited because they want it. It's not something I want. It's something they want, and that which creates the environment for success because they're willing to invest in themselves. Very, very exciting to have that.
Yeah, it makes it easier for you to invest in them when you see what they're putting out there as well.
100%. 100%.
So talk to me a little bit about the roster breakdown, and we'll start with the returning players. What have you seen out of your returning players, led by, of course, Sydney Rice, who's one of the most talented goal scorers there is in Division III?
It's been very exciting that when Sid decided that we were the right opportunity for her to come in and to coach a player of her ability is enjoyable. She works hard. She sets a standard. She never, ever takes a moment off. She's really invested in herself. She's invested in the team, invested in her teammates. Very special. I think the cool thing with the players that came back is they know we have some unfinished business. We talked about before that the players set high standards for themselves, and they set very, very big objectives. You know, we have never won a conference championship tournament. You know, I think 1992 was the last year we won or finished first in the conference. So it's been 30 years since we've won a title. And the women said that's too long. So they set some standards for themselves, and they came into camp incredibly fit, incredibly focused, and they want to make it happen. So the returners set that stage, you know, and we have great returners across the board. In our back line, you have Paige Ackerman, who's done a great job. We moved Ella Barth from the midfield into the back line. She's done a great job. We have two fifth-years that have done a great job, Maddie Farrell, Bella Regal. So it's exciting to see that. So beyond Sydney Rice, we have players that have come in and really set the stage for growth.
I was lucky enough to be in the booth Friday night to watch the Case Western game. Obviously, it didn't have the result that you wanted, but it was a fantastic overall effort by both teams, especially your back line, to really take away what would have been great opportunities. And you mentioned one of the young ladies that I want to talk to you about, Paige Ackerman. I don't recall seeing too many soccer players hustle and make as many solid defensive plays that go basically unnoticed when you look at the stat sheet. I mean, just what did you see out of Paige when you broke down that film, and what have you seen from her all year?
Ackerman is a unique individual. You know, Ackerman, you look at her roster, says she's from Sandusky, Ohio. Ackerman's a Cali kid. We had originally saw her when she was living in California before she moved to Ohio. But she understands the nuances of the sport. I very rarely call her Paige, so don't feel bad when I call her Ackerman, because that's our conversation with her.
Go ahead.
But Ackerman's gritty. I mean, we talk, and Steve has talked about from our perspective as BW Athletics to be BW Grit since 45. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And she exemplifies that. She's hard. She gets stuck in. She's not afraid to get dirty. She's not afraid to slide tackle. She does the dirty work. And every team that's going to be special has a player like Ackerman that's not afraid to do the dirty work. And love her. Love for what she represents, and love her energy and her effort.
I mean, in that game on Friday night, to tell you how much it meant to her to be on the field and try to upset the 12th-ranked team in the country, she gets an injury. She gets a little bit of blood on her uniform late in the second half. She goes to the sideline, basically says, tape me up and let me go back out there, and then goes out there and finishes the game. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the grit of this young lady.
100%. She's totally invested, and that's what I love about her. She's invested in every training session. She's invested in every game. She has the attitude that we want to be contagious. We have the attitude about how can we be special, and Paige wants to be special.
Also, taking a look at some of the younger players in your program, this recruiting class and maybe the recruiting class over the last couple of years, what do they add to this program?
That's a great question, because what they add to the program is where we need to be. They've come from championship environments, and they're not willing to accept good enough. They want to be great. It takes a long time, and this sounds really odd. It takes a long time to build a program. Reed had a good program, and he did a tremendous job, and he set the foundation for us to grow from there. But even so, stepping in, it's still going to take some time to get the level of women that want to compete with Ohio Northern or Otterbein or Capital, and we're tired of that. We want to step into the situation and say, enough is enough. It's our turn now. And these are the women that say it's our turn. These are the women that came to me and said, Coach, I want to help you write history. I want to help you say, I want my name on the trophy for the first time. I'm not afraid of the energy and the effort to make that trophy mine. And that's the kind of woman that's special. And it takes a really long time to get them that want to take to that level. God bless Reed and everything he did, because he set a tremendous foundation. He's an incredible coach, an incredible human being. But he set the stage to allow me to go out and get these next generation of women that say, it's our turn now.
The championship mindset has done you well this season. You're starting off 3-1. You had a tournament-winning performance on the first weekend of the regular season. What did that experience show you when you took home the Herb Lawfer Memorial Tournament?
What it showed me is these women have no quit. We're down 2-0 in the championship game at the Lawfer, and scored 3 goals in 6 minutes. It reminded me last year against Mount Union. We were down 3-0, and then we scored 7 straight goals in the conference quarterfinals. And you know what? They realized that they're never out of anything, and they carried that into this year. So they stepped in and said, we're down 2-0, and they said, you know what? We're not done yet, and they won the game. We go down to Oberlin. We go down 1-0. Nah, we're not done yet, and they come back. And then we step against the number 12 team in the country. We were down 1-0, and if you had the game, in the last 2 minutes, we had 2 really good looks at frame that should have been the tying goals. So we're in the situation where they're never going to give up because they care so deeply.
Yeah, I mean, they showed absolutely no fear. In fact, they seem to embrace the opportunity to go out there against the number 12 team in the country. And they had a point to prove, and they played like it the entire time. And I know it wasn't the result that you wanted, but I think in the long run, this is going to go down as a moment that they showed a lot of what they are made of, and they are not to be taken lightly when they step on the field against you.
Huge. In fact, after the game, I'm a coach, so losses, no matter how they come, they hurt. They're very hurtful, right? They sting. But we told the women, and this is important, that was a foundation performance, not a ceiling performance. So this is where we want to be all the time. This is not a special event. This is an everyday event, and they buy into that. And that's why they're special. And they realize that this is where we grow from, not where we've achieved, but where we start. And that, to me, that says they're champions. They're really excited about the opportunity to do that.
With that being said, Coach, before we get on out of here, what does the week ahead look like for you in terms of the games that you have on the schedule? And overall, looking at the goals that you have for the season, how close are you to taking those steps necessary to achieve those goals?
I think we've made great strides. We talk every day about growing in baby steps, but I think the ladies have grown in giant steps this year. I think our women have really established a growth pattern that matters every day. We have 2 very tough games coming up. We have two quality Pennsylvania teams that we see, one at home, one on the road. So we have Geneva on Wednesday, and we have Waynesburg on Saturday. They're going to be difficult games because they're gritty, tough, really blue-collar teams, and we've got to be able to respond to that. I'm excited about the opportunity because I think our women are excited about the opportunity, and they're ready. They work hard. We had a great training session today. We'll have a good training session tomorrow. and they're excited about the opportunity because they want to put Case in the rearview mirror. They want to get 2 hard games in front of us before we go to Carnegie Mellon next Friday, which is another top 15 team.
Yep.
To be perfectly honest, I think we have 5 teams in our schedule this year that were that were NCAA qualifiers last year. So we have a very tough schedule, and the women are excited about responding to that. So we can't be the best until we play the best. So
right.
we continue to add the best to our schedule.
Well, Coach Wojtkun, I wish you the best of luck not only this week but the rest of the season. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Matt. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
That's Coach Jim Wojtkun of the women's soccer program here at Baldwin-Wallace University. The women are 3-1 overall. They won their opening tournament and then a non-conference game at Oberlin before falling to Case Western, and now they go on the road once this week and once at home this week as well. We're going to welcome in my next guest here. It's head women's volleyball coach at Baldwin-Wallace, Kristina Fultz. First of all, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So first off, Coach Fultz, welcome to BW. How has the experience been since you've been in with the program for a few months?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been good. Super grateful to inherit such a just like mature and good team. The culture is in a really, really good spot, and so nice to come in and just be able to start really, installing volleyball stuff, which is the fun part of my job. So it's been good so far.
Yep. So you came to Baldwin-Wallace from the United States Naval Academy. What was it about this opportunity that made you want to be a part of this program?
For sure. Actually, the head coach before me, Casey, had given me a call when she knew she was going to be leaving and the job was coming open. And really, she just raved about the team, but also about the athletic department as a whole, just working for Steve and then all of the other coaches and how everybody was truly like family. And so that was very appealing to me. I knew I wanted to return to Division III at some point. And it felt like it was such a good opportunity. I decided to apply, and when I came out for my interview, it all was true. So it was just one of those things that ended up being right place at the right time, I guess.
You mentioned being familiar with Division III. You were a graduate of Wittenberg University, where you played on national qualifying teams. And I believe you played in a national championship game.
Yep.
And then you also did your graduate assistantship at Muskingum University as well. So you're very familiar with the Ohio Athletic Conference and Ohio overall. Does that give you a little bit of an advantage when you're talking about breaking down film on an opponent, but also more importantly, getting those players from the high school ranks to come here through recruiting?
Yeah, I hope so. It's really nice to know, like, getting into it, who's going to be big competition. One thing I keep talking about with our team, as a group that has hopes for an NCAA tournament bid, whether an automatic qualifier or an at-large, we got to punch our ticket with regional wins because we get into our conference and it is one of the tougher conferences, I'd argue maybe in the country. Just between Otterbein, Muskingum, Ohio Northern, you have so much talent with these teams. And so I keep talking about we got to punch our ticket when we play schools in the HCAC. We got to punch our ticket when we play schools in the PAC. And so far we've done well. We haven't had any NCAC schools yet, but
And that is a conference that you know very well. So you know the level of competition that you're going to have to step up and play if you want to take that next step as a program.
100%. And I had a really great opportunity. Evelyn, who is the head coach now at Wittenberg, my alma mater, invited me back to their preseason scrimmage. So we actually went. We played against Witt. And, for a team that just beat the number 3 and number 6 team in the country this weekend, we played very well against Witt in that preseason scrimmage, and I think it gave the girls a taste of the level of what I refer to as big ball that we got to get to.
A little bit of nostalgia going back to your old stomping grounds where you were a star player.
Yeah, it was fun. They have like fathead stickers on the windows, and one is mine. And when the girls saw it, they all started taking photos and sending it around in their like group chats and stuff. So it was neat to be back there and just kind of share that with them.
That might come up on some highlight tape of the season or something. So you might want to get used to seeing that somewhere because it's going to come back.
It probably will. Hopefully not, though.
Well, I mean, it'll probably be done in a tasteful manner, I'm sure. Taking a look at your coaching career at the United States Naval Academy, it's different kind of Division I experience. What was it like to help build a program at one of the nation's service academies?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I think the first thing for me, there's not a better person to have learned from in terms of having a mentor. Paco, playing for him, and then being on the other side of the ball with him, working as a coach and a part of his staff, I was able to grow and learn so much. And I think the thing that I loved about Navy was the challenges it presented with just how do you run a volleyball program at a Division I institution where this is not their priority.
Yep.
And I think there's some regards that is why it's similar to Division III. So, it's not the main reason why they come to this school. Their education comes first, and then in the sense of the service academy, their military service comes next. So trying to balance, creating a championship level culture when it's kind of third on the totem pole, it was very good for me to go through as a coach. And honestly, it was also just a great experience working with the type of athlete and student who's like, no, I want to be excellent, not just academically, not just in my military service, my career, but also as an athlete. So it was definitely probably one of the most challenging experiences in my life, but one of the most rewarding too.
I've read some books about the Army-Navy football rivalry.
Yeah.
And the quote that keeps coming up is the easiest 2 hours of the day is when they're at football practice.
Sports period.
And that kind of feels like it's across all sports. It's not just a football thing.
It's so true. And my experience as a player with Paco was like the hardest 2 hours of the day is volleyball. Like, we're getting better in there. We're trying to become national champions, and the mental, physical, and emotional fatigue you might endure through that time is, for what you're working towards. And we had to adjust to say, this has to be the best 2 hours of your day. And so how do you push forward, in the realms of volleyball IQ, physical gains, all those things, when it also needs to be almost like a relaxing time.
Right. That experience at the United States Naval Academy gave you this opportunity to take that next step. How has it been running your own program?
Yeah, it's been different. I, as a coach, actually our very first game, I am such an excitable coach. I really get into it. I love to cheer. And this whole time I've been worried about, but the head coach has to make decisions and has to be, have a degree of poise to a level where you're not caught up in maybe all of the emotions of it. And it was the most boring game I ever, we lost in 3, but I didn't enjoy myself. And I told the girls that night, I don't like to talk about matches usually afterwards. I like to have data and things like that. But I told them that night before we went into Hope, I was like, I want to have some fun. Let's have fun, and I'm going to have more fun. And so it's funny because you think you might have to change going into a head coaching role from how you were as an assistant. Maybe, some tweaks there, here and there. But now I've just started to find back, falling into how I am as a coach myself. It doesn't matter, head coach, assistant coach, just being me and enjoying the game that I love and coaching it in that way.
So you start off with a little bit of a struggle. You
Yeah.
lose 2 matches, but then you come back and you win 2 more the next day to complete the first tournament of your season. Was it nice to finally get those out of the way after starting off with those 2 setbacks?
It was. Smith was a very good team. We didn't really know what to expect out of them, just being on the East Coast. I didn't have any experience with them. But then I knew what we were getting with Hope.
Yeah.
Then the number 10 team in the nation, I knew it was going to be a battle and just one for us to go and see what we're made of. So then waking up the next morning, it could have been one of those situations where we're 0-2, it's 8 a.m., what kind of team is going to come out here? And they played so well. They came out with a lot of heart and just energy at 8 in the morning, 7 o'clock for warm-ups. And once they got that win over Grove City, it was just okay, now here we go, we're rolling.
How many messages did you get from either former teammates or players that you have coached as an assistant or coached alongside, did you get after you got that first win? Yeah,
I did. I got a lot. I feel really grateful for all the people I've had in my corner. A lot of college teammates who've actually already come and to watch us at other games. They've come to our games already. And I think the thing I appreciate the most is just the support from previous mentors. So Hallie Cruzen, who's the head coach at Muskingum, was my teammate. I also was a GA for her. And she got to be there, and just, celebrating that with her was kind of full circle. And then, of course, I got to hear from Paco and a lot of my Navy players. So it was really exciting to just kind of celebrate that win.
Yeah, and you've had a lot to celebrate since, as you've gone on to win 5 more matches. So you're on a 6-match winning streak, and you won the Spectacular up at Bluffton University over the weekend. What's working so far? I mean, right now you're in a very good groove.
Yeah.
What's going well?
It's the adaptability and the evolution of our players. I think people look on paper and say, like, oh, they're a very young team. We have 1 senior on the floor, 1 junior on the floor, and then the rest are sophomores or freshmen. And people look at that, and I think they can make some decisions one way or the other about what kind of team they might face. And our team does not play like a young team. I've been very fortunate that people have stepped up. I think the next part about us is our bench. Our bench works for us. If one person might not be having the night that they want to have, somebody can come in and take care of business just as well. And so the great teammateship that's been going on our team has really skyrocketed us through these last few games.
I want to talk to you about one player in particular that had an outstanding weekend up at Bluffton, and that's Lauren Gardner.
Yep.
Can you put into words what she means to this team and this program?
Yeah, I mean, Lo is as quiet as she might be from time to time. She is definitely the heart of the team. I talk to them a lot about being an alpha, and Lo represents that in many ways, and not in the loud vocal, like, I'm going to take control of the air in the gym per se, but just with, every ball. She's near every ball. She's playing every ball. I mean, she just puts 100% into everything that she does, and it spreads. When you see your teammate running off the court, flying into chairs, you're like, okay, I'm going to do that for you. And so, she's one of our 3 captains this year, and I think that between her and our other 2 captains and just the upperclassmen we have on the team, they've really built this I'm going to play for you mentality and playing for one another.
She's the type of player that almost puts a team on her shoulders and puts it all on the line every single point. And like you said, she's not maybe necessarily the most vocal leader, but she's the type that you want in that foxhole with you when you're competing. You're going to fight for her because she's going to give the same to you.
Oh, 100%. It was funny in a practice the other day. We were talking about some defensive responsibilities and how we break things down within our defensive structure. And I asked them, who digs this ball? And my off blockers all raised their hand. And I was like, no. In our gym, who's been digging this ball? And, they have this degree of there's some joyfulness to it, but there's also this degree of Lo's doing what we got to be doing. And so it's really starting to get spread through the team.
How nice is it to see when somebody puts in so much effort on and off the court that it gets recognized, as she was named the OAC Defensive Player of the Week just today?
Yeah, no, super. I'm so happy for her. I know she's not in it for the personal accolades. I know that that's not really the MO of this team, but to be able to have her talent, her work ethic, all of that recognized by the head coaches in this conference, and again, a conference that is very competitive, I certainly realize what it means, and I hope that she does too, and something we got to celebrate at practice today since it came out before we started.
So what was it like to celebrate that moment? And did she get a little I don't know how to say it, but was she a little bit kind of shy about it?
Oh, it was over quick. It was over quick. No, she's a very humble player, and it's just one of those things that I think everybody is excited for their teammates, and she just, it's part of the team game for her.
See, that says a lot, though, about the young lady, that she doesn't want it to be about herself and wants the team to go to have the success and the notoriety. But when you play that way and the team does do well, you will pick up that notoriety as well individually, and that's a byproduct of the team having the success, and that's really a great lesson for a young team to learn.
Yes, totally. And, I have no doubt in my mind that if any of our other players receive, some kind of individual recognition or accolade this season, that they would all probably respond in the same way. It's part of the whole team game.
You had in addition to Lauren, you had a lot of standouts over the weekend. Sam Ruda played well. Olivia Zawadzki, Malia Thurber. It was a real total team effort, and that's really to get where you want to go as a program, to be in that upper echelon of the Ohio Athletic Conference, and not only the OAC, but on a national scale. You're going to need a lot of people to step up and have those types of games where they're having double-doubles or they're having double-digit kills and, an insane amount of digs, to really help the defense and get you back into a system where you can attack. I mean, that's really what it's all about, is just that team mentality where everybody has to step up on any given night for this thing to work.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. And, we've had a lot of success too. Mal, she had an awesome weekend, and she was nominated for an OAC award this week for offense. As a freshman, to go in and play 3 really talented teams over the weekend, and Hiram last week for our midweek, to hit 300 for an average is really good. She's learning a system. She's learning college volleyball in and of itself. And so that was a big weekend for her. And we had some people off the bench. Sydney Simonson came in and got kills when we needed her to. Gabby Schlecht played super well for us too. So it's just one of those things where we do have so many options that it's been working.
And the service game was really on point through the Bluffton tournament, where you had so many service aces that you were able to keep your opponents off balance.
Yeah, no, we from day one we said serve and pass were going to be a foundation of our team this year, and knock on wood, it has continued to be that for us. So hopefully it'll just only improve each week.
Well, Coach Fultz, I thank you very much for the time. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I wish you nothing but the best, not only this year, but in building the program in future years as well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
That's BW Volleyball coach Kristina Fultz in her first season at the helm of the Yellow Jackets, who find themselves at 6-2 overall. The Baldwin Wallace University volleyball team competed in the 2-day Bluffton Spectacular last weekend, and they defeated Bethany College in 4 sets after losing the first set, and then they defeated Bluffton, who carried a 5-1 record into that match before topping Pitt Bradford. And by going undefeated in the tournament, the Yellow Jackets were named Spectacular champions. BW's sophomore All-OAC libero Lauren Gardner was named the tournament's most valuable player, and freshman middle hitter Malia Thurber also landed on the all-tournament team. In that first match of the weekend, Sam Ruda led the team in kills and digs with 15 each. Gardner had 35 digs to lead the team. She also posted 3 assists. Junior setter Olivia Zawadzki notched a double-double with 44 assists and 10 digs. She also added 3 kills. The second match, Ruda led the way with 16 kills. She added 11 digs with 4 service aces, and then Zawadzki finished with 38 assists, 8 digs, and 7 service aces. Gardner totaled 19 digs and posted 7 assists with 4 service aces to go along with it. And then in that final match of the tournament, sophomore right side hitter Allison Weiner led the team with 11 kills and hit .455 while adding 4 digs. Gardner finished with another 30 dig performances. She dug out 33 balls and had 4 assists, averaging 7.9 digs per set over the weekend. Thurber was second in kills with 9, hitting at a .389 clip, and she added 3 blocks, while Zawadzki finished with 39 assists and 7 digs, and freshman outside hitter Gabby Schlecht tallied 14 digs and 9 kills, just missing a double-double. Individually for her efforts, as we just mentioned, at the Spectacular, Gardner was named the Ohio Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Week for the 3rd time in her career. Gardner helped BW to a 4-0 record last week as they defeated Hiram College in the 2022 home opener and then went 3-0 at the Spectacular. This season, Gardner has posted 191 digs, second most in the Ohio Athletic Conference, and leads the conference in digs per set, averaging 6.58. Also, she has totaled 23 assists and 8 service aces in her career. Gardner has racked up 726 digs, 114 assists, and 41 service aces. Last year, she twice won Ohio Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Week honors in October, first on October 4th and then on October 18th. We also want to give a shout-out to the men's and women's cross-country teams. The men's cross-country team placed third at the Wittenberg Invitational at the Clark County Fairgrounds last weekend. They placed third out of 9 teams with a total of 83 points, led by freshman Stephen Falte, who finished third out of 122 runners. And then sophomore All-Ohio Athletic Conference selection Hope Murphy won the Wittenberg Invitational on the Clark County Fairgrounds as the Baldwin-Wallace University women's cross-country team placed third out of 10 teams with a total of 84 points. Murphy captured her second consecutive invitational win as she placed first out of 96 runners at a time of 22 minutes, 58.8 seconds. It was her third career victory. She was joined as a top performer by junior Maddie Miller, who placed 19th, freshman Charlotte Jones, who finished 25th, sophomore Jalen Jaquay, who placed 26th, and sophomore Cassie Kolenchuk, who finished 27th. Earlier today, Murphy was recognized for her accomplishments as for the first time in her career, the Moganore native was selected as the OAC Runner of the Week. That'll do it for today's edition of the BW Athletics Roadshow. And before we get on out of here, want to pass along some thank yous. First of all, and foremost, to our guests, football coach Jim Hilvert, women's soccer coach Jim Wojtkun, and a volleyball coach Kristina Fultz. Thanks also to the sports information and athletic departments at BW for all of their work in making this show possible. And I skipped over previewing this week, so I'll take a step back before finishing my thank yous and remind you that this week the football team closes out its 3-game season opening road trip on Saturday when it travels across the county to University Heights for an Ohio Athletic Conference and the 34th annual Battle for the Cuyahoga Gold Bowl game against John Carroll University at Wasmer Field inside Don Shula Stadium at 1:30. The first home game for the Yellow Jackets is Saturday, September 24th, as they host Parents and Family Day against Ohio Northern University on Trestle Field at 2 p.m. The Yellow Jacket volleyball team is back in action on Wednesday as they travel to Case Western Reserve University in another non-conference showdown. First serve is set for 7 p.m. at Horsburgh Gymnasium inside the Veal Center. The Yellow Jacket women's golf team will be in action on Friday and Saturday, September 16th and 17th, when they travel to Tiffin to compete in the Heidelberg Fall Invitational at Mohawk Golf and Country Club. The Yellow Jacket men's golf team is back in action on Sunday, September 18th, when they travel to play in the John Carroll Fall Invitational at River Greens Golf Course. The Yellow Jacket men's soccer team returns to the pitch on Tuesday, tomorrow night, when they travel to Greenville, Pennsylvania to play Teal College in a non-conference match at Stover Field inside Alumni Stadium at 7 p.m. The Yellow Jacket women's soccer team is back in action on Wednesday night when they host a non-conference game against Geneva College on the Trestle Field inside the George Finney Stadium. And the men's and women's Yellow Jacket cross-country teams will return to the course on Friday when they travel to Cedarville to compete in the All-Ohio Championships on the Elvin R. King cross-country course. Thank you again to our guests, football coach Jim Hilvert, women's soccer coach Jim Wojtkun, and volleyball coach Kristina Fultz. Thanks also to the sports information and athletic departments at Baldwin-Wallace for all of their work in making this show possible. Thank you to our gracious hosts here at Mike's Bar and Grill. And finally, thank you to you, the Yellow Jacket fans, both here at Mike's Bar and Grill and those watching around the world on BWYellowJackets.com. Until next time, I'm Matt Florjancic saying have a great night and go Jackets.